Miss the days when the Warriors didn't need permission to be the Warriors? Good. Because that's exactly the energy I'm bringing tonight as we look at one move that actually upgrades our defense without slowing the offense, gives Steph real breathing room without stealing his rhythm, and fits seamlessly with the veteran spine the front office just built. I'm talking about Derek White, and I'm going to walk you through why his skill set checks every box for this era of Warriors basketball, what it would cost, how it would look on the floor next to Curry, Butler, Draymond, and Horford, what the numbers say, what the new CBA allows, the timing windows that matter, and the one late twist that answers the question everyone's asking. Is this real, and is it smart? Stick with me because I'm not selling you a fantasy. I'm laying out a plan that respects where we are, where the league is, and what wins deep in May and June when the game slows down and every decision gets magnified. And yes, I'll give you my verdict at the end, and I want your trade frameworks in the comments before we wrap, because this is the kind of conversation that separates barbershop talk from a real front office conversation done the Warriors' way. Here's the reality we've all seen in the first stretch. Even with Butler's edge and Horford's stability, the offense still pauses when Steph gives it up. We're a beat late too often on the extra pass, and our guards are covering a ton of ground at the point of attack. There's still a few possessions every quarter where the ball sticks, the clock bleeds, and we're asking Steph to do two jobs at once. White changes that math right away because he's a low-maintenance guard who thrives inside motion, shoots when open, swings when covered, sets a screen and slips without needing a call, and brings playoff reliable defense at the position where scouting reports have been hunting us for years. He's not a brand addition, he's a wins in April addition. On offense, picture our common actions and plug White in. Simple as that. Ghost screens with Steph to force a soft switch. Quick pops to the slot above the break so the release pass has an obvious target. Chicago action where he flips the handoff back to Steph if the top lock comes or turns the corner if the defender cheats it. Spain pick and roll with Draymond as the back screener while White drifts to the wing for the catch and shoot. Early offense, where he runs to the arc with discipline to stretch the defense and give Butler a clean runway. Half-court possessions where the ball hits the elbow and he lifts from the corner at the right moment to punish the stunt. None of that needs a high-usage diet, it just needs timing and reads, and that's his game. The value here isn't a 30-point night on a random Tuesday, it's the dozen possessions that don't turn into junk late in the clock because there's a guard who knows the next beat without a signal. Defensively, it's exactly what we've been missing on the regular. A guard who slides over a screen without dying on it, tracks the pull-up, contests at the rim without fouling, then still recovers to the corner shooter. When your backcourt can erase shots at the rim and still keep shape on the perimeter, Draymond can quarterback without living in emergency help, and Horford can stay a step closer to home. That's how you reduce corner threes conceded. That's how you stop the snowball possessions where one drive turns into 3 rotations and a scramble 2 passes later. You give Butler the best wing, you shade with Draymond, and you let White remove the obvious guard mismatch that opponents try to spam when Steph is on the floor. That saves Curry's legs for the closing burst everyone in the building came to see. I know you want numbers to match the eye test, so here's what I'm weighing in the background. White has been among the league's most productive shot-blocking guards in recent seasons, and that's not noise. It's approach, verticality, timing, length, and the discipline to challenge without cheap reach-ins. The threes are a real part of his game now, not a hot month. Above-the-break volume has held, and playoff efficiency has survived the brighter lights. His playoff track record shows he doesn't shrink. He stays in the action, and he delivers two-way value against top scouting and adjustments. If you're wondering whether that scales next to Steph, the answer is yes, because his usage lives in the sweet spot where he can touch the ball, make a clean decision in under a beat, and not disrupt Curry's gravity. The box score will never scream, but the scoreboard will breathe. Now the money part, because none of this matters if the CBA says no. Under the new second apron world, you don't just stack 3 mid-level deals and call it matching. Those days are over. Teams like us have to build clean trades, matching salary straight up or very close, no aggregation tricks, no cash, and fewer flexibility levers to fix things later if we get the math wrong. So any pursuit for White has to be tidy. 1 real contract going out, or two that already fit the band rules without aggregation, plus real draft value, plus at least one player the other side can play right now. You can't throw 5 end-of-bench pieces and call it a haul. That also means you protect the 8-man rotation that wins a Game 6 on the road. No point filling one hole while digging two. The big lever is timing. Strong teams almost never split their core midseason unless something forces a change. But windows open when standings wobble. Injuries shift responsibilities. Or rival plans need picks to grease a separate move. That's when a clear, respectful offer gets attention. For us, the line is simple. If the ask becomes 2 far-out, unprotected firsts plus multiple rotation pieces, you hang up and keep your powder dry. If the conversation is 1 unprotected future first, a swap, a rotation player they can use tomorrow, and clean matching, you stay with us. Let's bring this back to the Warriors board and make it concrete. Late game, you know our bread-and-butter sets. Split action at the elbows with Steph flying around a screen while Draymond reads the help. Empty corner pick and roll to get Curry downhill into a pocket where he can throw the live dribble pass or pull the three. Butler flattening the defense with the middle drive when we need a foul line touch. White's presence changes the angles on each of those. In splits, his ghost screen forces a moment of indecision. Switch and give Steph space, or chase and give White the clean pop. In empty corner P&R, if the help tag's from his side, the first swing ends the possession with a quality look. On Butler drives, White's lift timing, not too early, not too late, unclogs the second help, and you get either the kickout or a layup. On broken plays, he doesn't hold the ball. He keeps the chain moving so Steph can get it back with the defense already shifting. That's the decision speed piece Kerr keeps emphasizing, and it travels on the road in the playoffs. Depth and roles matter, so how do the minutes work? I see him starting next to Steph with Butler sliding to the 3, Draymond at the 4, Horford at the 5 in lineups that need size. When we want more speed or switchability, Horford sits, Kuminga comes, Draymond slides to the 5, and White's still the guard who stabilizes the possession without slowing it down. With the second unit, he becomes the strong side guard who runs secondary P&R, takes a couple pick-and-roll reps off Steph each quarter, and keeps us organized when lineups get mixed in back-to-backs. He doesn't need a heavy-touch diet to matter. 2 threes, 2 pocket passes, a putback, and 2 elite contests can swing a quarter. Now Boston's side, because I respect the other desk. They paid him for a reason, and they've pushed back at the idea of moving core guards because that group's identity is built on two-way guards who don't make mistakes. They'll not help us unless the value is undeniable and the fit is clean for them in the short term. That's why the only way this becomes a real talk is if their priorities shift or they need picks to fuel another move. In that case, you must be ready with the clean version of the offer, not a messy aggregation flight. That's the only way you get to maybe. Quick note on age and arc, because it's fair to ask. White isn't young, but he's in the sweet spot for what we need. Late prime. Low maintenance, reliable, comfortable with mismatch basketball. You're not paying for an unknown leap, you're paying for repeatable playoff habits. He fits our current layer with Steph and Butler, and he also fits the next layer with Kuminga and the young guards, because he doesn't demand a certain play style to be valuable. That matters if the roster shape shifts again in a year. Let's talk risk straight up. You're not trading for a number 1 scorer, and you shouldn't pretend otherwise. If you move for him expecting a 28% usage primary, you'll be frustrated. And that's on you, not him. He's a connector who stacks winning possessions and punishes defensive errors. The 3-point percent will have normal variance month to month. The key is the shot diet, and ours would give him above-the-break and corner looks created by Steph's gravity and Butler's drives. Durability has been solid, but you still do your homework like any big acquisition. In terms of contract, you're paying a championship-level guard market rate, not cheap, not crippling, and the structure is the kind you can live with during a contention push. That's the profile I want on the books while living in second apron territory. Now, for the on-court fun, the closing 5 I'm picturing in a playoff series when we need stops and composure looks like this: Steph, White, Butler, Draymond, Horford, or Kuminga depending on matchup. That group defends without overhelping and plays offense without hunting nonsense. If they switch, Steph gets the early release to White. If they stay, Steph keeps the dribble. Butler gives you the middle drive foul hunt. Draymond directs traffic and finds the angle 2 beats ahead. Horford spaces and screens with meaning. Kuminga brings the vertical pressure if we want it. White's presence is what makes it feel like 5 answers, not 1 hope. And that's the point here. When the margin is thin, you don't need a splashy savior, you need the right guard. The timeline piece matters too. With Butler now in the fold and Horford tied into this chapter, you want a guard who lets you play playoff basketball right now, not a project. And if the roster needs a pivot a year from now, this is a contract and a game that stays tradable and stays useful. That's called preserving outs, and in this CBA, it's as valuable as a step-back 3. And just to be clear for anyone joining late, the move I'm advocating isn't about nostalgia or name-chasing. It's about aligning our identity with the modern league. Multiple ball handlers who can defend, quick decisions, fewer emergency rotations, and fewer wasted trips. So where do I stand after all this? I'm in as long as we walk the line. Clean matching salary, 1 unprotected future first, a swap, 1 rotation player the other side can use immediately, and 0 panic. Protect the core that makes the move worth it in the first place, don't get baited into overpaying for headlines, and be patient about the window that actually opens talks. Because that's what the Warriors at their best do. They move when the board says move, not when the timeline screams panic. And here's your late reveal, because you know I don't waste your time. No, there isn't a finalized deal, and no, I'm not telling you a press release is dropping at midnight. What I am telling you is that the fit is real. The market logic is sound, the cap math has a path. Respected voices around the league have pointed White at us as the right target for Curry's window. And if the opening appears, the front office has to be first in line with a tidy, disciplined offer. That's not smoke, that's a plan. And that plan, to me, is how you bring back that feeling from the start of this video. The days when the Warriors didn't ask for permission to be the Warriors, they just were. Before I close, I want your voice. Would you send 1 unprotected future first, a swap and a rotation piece, to go get Derek White, or would you pivot to a cheaper combo guard and save the pick? Give me your trade framework below that you think both sides would actually consider. Tell me your closing 5 after the move and where your red line is on picks. And if you're here for the first time, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. I post quick hits after games with film clips and cap notes in plain English. And longer breakdowns when the rumor mill actually matters. Bottom line from me, clean and direct. Derek White is the rare target who raises our floor, protects our ceiling, and respects the way we play. If the door cracks open, I want us walking through it with purpose.